Hi, we are going to go ahead today and read Stormalong. It is from one of the reading lessons in third grade. I'm going to try to read somewhat quickly because I'm going to do some of the lesson answers as well. So this is called Stormalong by Mary Pope Osborne. It's an American tall tale. A tall tale, the genre of tall tales is very exaggerated. So it's fiction, a lot of hyperbole. Three words that we're going to look for to find out that helps us understand the story better. One is fathoms, the other is Yankee Clipper, and the third one is bowsprit. Okay, so we'll stop when we see those and see if we can figure out using the context what they mean. Stormalong by Mary Pope Osborne, American tall tale. One day in the early 1800s, a tidal wave crashed down on the shores of Cape Cod in New England. After the wave had washed out to sea, the villagers heard deep bellowing sounds coming from the beach. When they rushed out to find what was going on, they couldn't believe their eyes. A giant baby, 3 fathoms tall or 18 feet, was crawling across the sand, crying in a voice as loud as a foghorn. So lots of exaggeration. Fathom is one of our words, and we see that the baby is 3 fathoms tall. So we know that's a measurement, but it also gives us how big that would be. So 3 fathoms is 18 feet. So we can guess that 1 fathom would be 6 feet. So we have this giant baby crawling along. We know it's a tall tale. It's meant to entertain. It's meant to be funny. The villagers put the baby in a big wheelbarrow and carried him to town. They took him to the meeting house and fed him barrels and barrels of milk. As 10 people patted the baby on the back, the minister said, "What will we name him?" "How about Alfred Billtop Stormalong?" A little boy popped up. "And call him Stormy for short." The baby smiled at the boy, then let out a giant burp that nearly blew the roof off the meeting house. "Stormy it is," everyone cried. So it's kind of funny, a big, big baby that when he burps, it's blowing roofs off. And here's the giant wheelbarrow. Paragraph 7. By the time Stormy was 12, he was already 6 fathoms tall, or 36 feet. Again, 36 divided by 6 is 6, so we know that a fathom is 6 feet. "I guess you're going to have to go out into the world now," his friend said sadly. "Maybe you should go to Boston. It's a lot bigger than Cape Cod." "A sailor's life is the only one for me," he said, staring longingly at the Boston harbor. "The sea's my best friend. It's with her that I belong." And with his back to Boston, Stormy strode toward the biggest Yankee clipper docked in the harbor, the Lady of the Sea. So we have our next word, this Yankee clipper. Well, we see that it's docked. And from maybe background knowledge or understanding, the Yankee clipper must be this boat. And the boat is called the Lady of the Sea. So a Yankee clipper is a type of boat. "Blow me down," said the captain when Stormy stood before him. "I've never seen a man as big as you are." "I'm not a man," said Stormy. "I'm only 12 years old." "Blow me down again," said the captain. "I guess you'll have to be the biggest captain boy in the world then. Welcome aboard, son." The sailors were a bit shocked when the captain introduced the 36-foot giant as their new cabin boy. But the day soon came when all of the sailors of the Lady of the Sea completely accepted Stormy's awesome size. It happened one morning when the Clipper was anchored off the coast of South America. "Hoist the anchor," the captain shouted after a few hours of deep sea fishing. But when the crew pulled on the great chain, nothing happened. The sailor heaved and hoed, and still nothing moved the anchor off the bottom of the sea. "Let me take care of it," Stormy boomed. Then the captain boy stuck a knife between his teeth, climbed onto the bowsprit, and dived into the sea. That was our third word, bowsprit. So we see that the captain boy, or Stormy, put a knife between his teeth and climbed onto the bowsprit. The illustration really helps. So he's got his knife and he's on the bowsprit. So we see that this bowsprit must be something that, like this pole that comes out from the front of a ship. Paragraph 15. After Stormy disappeared, terrible sounds came from the water. The ship began pitching and tossing on wild, foamy waves. It seemed that all aboard were about to be hurled into a wet grave. And suddenly the sea grew calm again and Stormy bounded to surface. "What happened?" the crew cried. Just a little fight with a two-ton octopus, said Stormy. Octopus? Aye! He didn't want to let go of the anchor. What did you do to him? The others cried. Wrestled 8 slimy tentacles into double knots. It'll take a month of Sundays for him to untie himself. That was Stormy talking. From then on, Stormy was the most popular sailor on board. We can see this great picture where Stormy's wrestling this octopus here. Some of the questions come up. So I already went through and put in the answers. You can pause this video now and answer it yourself and then go ahead and double check. So I'm just going to give you a minute. But please go ahead and pause this before you look at the answers, okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share and see if we've got the same answers. So for number 1, it is a funny story. So it's meant to be humorous, hilarious, somewhat funny. It's definitely not serious. It's not frightening. We knew that they were going to survive, and it's not sad. Nobody was hurt, except for maybe the octopus. So then what 2 lines describe or share that it's funny? So B and C both are humorous. They're part of the story that supports A, part A, okay? Number 2, in the illustrations on page 361, what's happening to the ship? So if you look back at 361, the ship begins to tilt because of Stormy's weight. Number 3, like I said, I had already done this. My notes are that it was made of wood. It's long and narrow and has 3 sets of sails. You could definitely have different details. If you want to look at mine and pause this, that's fine too. But you can also put this in a complete sentence. That would be better yet. All right, number 4, tentacles. We see our long arms. You might also have the background knowledge for that. Number 5, reread the following paragraph from the story. Underline details that are shown in the illustration. We can tell that it's just a fight with a 2-ton octopus, said Stormy. We can also tell that he didn't want to let go of the anchor. The octopus had the anchor, and that it wrestled. These other things that are here don't really support it. You could put the octopus because that's in the illustration, but these are our 3 best ones. Now we're going to write, and it wants us to figure out how the illustrations increase our enjoyment, or at least added to the overall humor of it. So we're going to plan our response with a T-chart, and I just made one here. So here it says the text. We can see in the text that Stormy fights. Also, there's loud sounds in the text. The sea, they call it wild, and that he tied the tentacles. Those are all words. The illustrations show the actual fight between Stormy and the octopus. We see that this octopus is big. You can call him scary. Also, we see that it's happening deep in the ocean. Stormy would have had to stay underwater for a long time, and it makes it more exciting. That T-chart that I just put off to the side here is going to help you answer number 7. So number 7, ask for a paragraph. This is just a sample response. You can, I'm going to read it to you. You can pause it if it helps you out. But also you come up with your own. This is just an example. In the story, we get a few details about Stormy's fight with the octopus. The sailors hear horrible sounds. The sea becomes wild. Then Stormy comes back and says that he had a fight with an octopus and tied his tentacles into knots. That's the words. The illustration, right, starts right here. The illustration shows the actual fight. It shows how big and scary the octopus was. It shows how deep down the fight took place, and it makes it much more exciting. That is just taking our T-chart up here and creating a paragraph from our notes. Okay, this extra lines here is if in case you still need it from above. And then our learning target was that when we read stories, both the words and the illustrations are important. And a sample response is to how they are both important is here. Illustrations can provide extra details about settings in the events. They can show what characters look like and even help me understand how a character feels. Illustrations can help set the mood of the story with their colors and details that they show. Sometimes they can help explain something I didn't understand. And for example, we can refer back to another text we read earlier in the week, like Paul Bunyan, when he couldn't cut down the tree. Okay, so I hope this helps a little bit. Definitely like pause the video if you need to. Go back. These are just some sample examples, and I hope you enjoy the Ready lessons this week.